You from Israel in the Galilee on the 5th of October, and it's 9:26 in the morning, and we got the last day of moderately warm weather here. Um, no, tomorrow's the last day. It's terrible. I mean, it's not horrible. 92 high today, but low is 68, so it'll cool off. And then 93 tomorrow, air conditioning again. Then Monday we go to 89, 88, 88. We start getting temperate weather again, but they're saying in about 10 days it'll go back to 90, but I don't know. That seems hard to believe, but anyway. Your prayers have worked because I've been asking you to pray for cooler weather many times, and we're not getting the 103, 106, and we didn't get any. We hardly ever got over 100, so it did work. Before I forget, I want to mention that the spiritual warfare that we talked about, I don't know, 10 days ago or something, it in my opinion, I've analyzed it for a few days, caused Iran to make that stupid move, and it was a stupid move. Okay, they were cut off from their phony guards, and then they got scared, and they said, "Oh, we better do something," and they attacked, and now they're trying to backpedal on what they did to us, what Iran did to us, and they can't. I mean, there's no backpedaling. Okay. And the whole demeanor of Biden has changed towards Iran. I mean, he's talking, we're going to talk about hitting the oil fields, And, yes, Israel's going to do a big attack on them. He's switched around. Instead of, use restraint, don't retaliate. No, that's not his game anymore. Now his game is, yeah, okay. And he said, well, it'll be a proportionate attack. Well, they launched 400 missiles, and 180 got here. The rest never made it, and they didn't cause any damage. The Team Air Force Base that so-called had the damage, it was two outbuildings. One was an unoccupied, no plane in the hangar, a hangar with no aircraft in it. And the other was a maintenance building. Nobody got killed. Other missiles landed in and around the facility, open spaces, out in the dirt and stuff. There was a little runway damage, and some of the damage on the buildings and stuff, we're not sure if it was the shrapnel from our iron domes hitting the missile, so it could be pieces of the missile, pieces of the iron dome. So we don't even know yet what caused the damage. It might not have even been them, I don't know. The aircraft were not hit. Look, it's very simple. They knew the attack is coming. They scramble the jets. They tell them, go up in the air, go someplace, like fly out over the ocean. What do they got to go? 25 miles out of the ocean, which takes a couple of minutes, a minute, and loiter around. And then when the attack is over, we'll summon you and you come back and land. That's what they did. So there wasn't any real, damage to any aircraft. The Iranians say they are, What the Houthis in Yemen do is they launch, 4 missiles at Haifa at the port, and then they turn around and say, we hit the Haifa port. If they point the missiles or the drones at the port, they say, oh, we hit it, and they don't hit it. So the lies abound with them, but they're obviously scared. America's not telling Israel to use restraint, and they don't know what the heck they're going to do. So they're saying things like, well, we know where your power plants are. We'll knock all your electricity out. Um, you know, well, I'll talk about that in a moment. Let me, we're not going to have the usual crowd today of, I don't know what we would call them, intel seekers or, um, people that really don't care about the Bible, think the Bible's a waste of time, and they just want to get, war intel so they can prep better. They're all self-reliant, and they think that they're going to make it. Okay, and good luck with that. All right, so since it's a Shabbat that we just came off of their rabbinical Talmudic holiday of Rosh Hashanah for 2 days, so basically we had like a 3-day Shabbat in a sense, you could say, and not exactly, but kind of. So they came off it, and we have now not that much news flowing. There's also not that much happening in the Middle East. Yeah, we're fighting in Lebanon. We're fighting with Hamas. We've been fighting in the West Bank. Last night we hit. Now this is important, I suppose. We hit a Russian airport in Syria. Not the Latakia thing. This is different. The airport itself, not a warehouse. And this particular airport was managed, run, operated, whatever words you want to use, by the Russian Wagner Group. And we hit it last night. See, we're stopping Iran flow of weapons. Okay, so that is significant because it's a slap shot again to Putin. But Israel analyzed the situation, and they spoke with America, I'm sure, and the consensus is that Russia is not in any place to do anything for Iran, but send weapons to them. And I don't know how many they're going to be able to send either. They're up to their eyeballs in trouble with Ukraine and NATO. So if you think Russia's about to open up another theater when they can't control Ukraine and they're going to come over here and attack Israel, the first thing you're going to have from Biden, is authorizing Ukraine to use long-range missile strikes into Russia. And then what's Putin do? Now he's pulled apart. He's committing in the Middle East, and now he's got trouble in Europe. Now, who it's Putin's big trouble, other than just saying NATO at large and the EU at large. They're not in love with him either. Poland is a bad problem for him. Romania is a bad problem for him. Of course, Ukraine, that's 3. And then there's been NATO buildups in Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Sweden, Norway. I mean, all these countries are building up with forces on the border. Hungary is to some extent involved, not greatly. Germany, UK is mad at Russia. He's got, and now he's going to add to his list Israel to help Iran. Well, that's not, Putin still operates with a degree of logic, okay? He's got bats in the belfry, but you could determine that by the type of clothes he wears. Some of you know what I'm talking about. But, he spends probably 25% of his time trying to make his demeanor match the clothing he wears. If you didn't get it now, you should. So, he's not gonna, go and start opening up another front. Neither will China. China got the wolves at their door, Japan dislikes them greatly. So does South Korea, so does Taiwan, so does the Philippines, so does Australia, so does Guam, and so do all the massive American troops and ships and planes over there. So you're not, I don't think we're going to see much come out of China and Russia. Now, I can be wrong. There are plans to destroy America economically with BRICS and the digital currency system, where their meeting is October 22nd to the 24th, is when Iran falls, that's going to fall apart, I think, especially you. America may be wanting to bait Russia to do something with Iran. They might be looking for that to happen. But I'm not seeing it. Okay? I don't see it. Let's say Putin sends 15 or 20 warships that could shoot missiles over to the Middle East. Well, then America has the choice. One, they can say, okay, Putin, you win and leave. You think America is going to do that with Russia? I don't. And they say, we'll sink your ships if you don't leave. This type of thing. China is nervous because they're getting a lot of their energy, natural gas and oil, from Iran. And if war breaks out, the United States has got their fleet in the Sea of Oman, which is just outside the Persian Gulf. So they'll stop, they're definitely going to start interdicting ships that, they're not going to let them come over to Iran or leave from Iran. These are merchant marine vessels. You just approach them, get on the megaphone, fly a couple of planes overhead for effect, and say, turn back. What are they going to do? Well, if you sink us, we'll create a big oil spill. That's the only thing they can say. What are they going to do? So Iran is still insisting on attacking Kuwait, UAE, and where's it, Bahrain? 3 countries is what I'm picking up. But I do believe they'll hit, in my opinion, they'll hit Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain, UAE, Oman, Saudi Arabia. Minimally, they'll hit Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Bahrain. And it's going to be, if they do that, oil prices are going to go not 5 or 8%, they're going to go 30, 40% up immediately, very quickly. And they'll continue to rise if peace doesn't come, and it ain't going to come. All right. Being a Bible-believing saith, Old and New Testament, I'm going to do some praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. And let me jump into the live stream while people are still coming in and make sure that we got sound and picture and put a couple of quick posts up there. And so let me jump into. Okay, we got sound and picture. I'm still, contemplating what I could do to improve the sound, but it's tough because I use iPads and they don't have a USB. So starting to use these Bluetooth and stuff. I'm in Israel. Someone asked me. I'm in Israel, the Galilee. So ha ha ha. Listen, Esau genius, if you read Jeremiah 49, you'll see that Edom, Esau is Yemen on the Red Sea, but you don't learn Bible, you just learn hate. That's a black Hebrew coming in with his hate. They think because they call us Esau, it means something. Um, I can talk about North Carolina, and I will in a minute, and I'm going to give you the spiritual meaning of what's going on over there. I'll talk about how much time America has. Okay, sit tight. I'm going to do a couple of quick posts. Like I said, it's not going to get real crowded in here today because most of these people don't care about the Bible that come in. They just care about, intel and, you All right, I got one post up. I got to put my email address up in case anybody wants to email me for a prayer request, a toss request, um, a comment, or a question. You can post that stuff up in the chat, but if you want more discretion, you could email it to me. It's up to you. I check email and the chat during the broadcast, so you can use either one. All right, and I'm going to pin this up. Now, a quick word on the bird that we rescued. My wife runs a bird rescue here in Israel. The parrots and the cockatoo. Yesterday, she noticed a small amount of food coming out from the breast with a croft with it. The problem was not much, a little drip. And she's been flapping her wings and trying to fly and, stuff like that. She's feeling her Cheerios, So she might have opened it a little bit. We don't know. She's screaming and yelling and eating voraciously. So my wife thinks maybe she fed her too much at one time and there was pressure. I don't know what to do. But pray for the bird again, the cockatoo, that she heal up and there's no more leakage out of the breast. It's been 10 days. We're shocked that it happened, but 5 days it should be healing. But she had several surgeries for this, so maybe it's weakened. So pray for her that she heal up good. She's still running around like crazy, with energy and everything. Okay, North Carolina. Let me explain now. Some of you know, you go back through history, Clinton did this to Israel and hurricanes came, Katrina and other things, right? And it's a long, long, long history of this, okay? So the thing in North Carolina was the same thing, okay? What America did to Israel is not overtly obvious to most people, but they're using Israel as a proxy, just like Ukraine. Ukraine against Russia, Israel against Iran and her proxies. The pattern is identical. You don't go fight shoulder to shoulder with them. You give them weapons. You give them money. You give them reconnaissance information, technical information. You support them behind the scenes. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Except now America's getting close to step in and smack Iran upside the head real good with a lead pipe. So that means they'll do the same with Russia, but they'll use America and NATO will do Russia. So there was an attack yesterday on the capital of Yemen, the capital, Sana'a, by the UK and America. It wasn't that massive, but they were getting weapons and things like that. And you need to learn, if America and the UK hit Yemen, they'll hit Iran. You also need to understand that America is not, this administration's not in tune with the Middle East like other administrations. Now, the guys that have been in the military for 20, 30 years, the colonels and the majors, they know. But the generals are spots, and they're bureaucrats, and they're stuffed shirts, really, is what they are. And remember Patton, he was the best general they had, and they demoted him. The soldiers in World War II liked to fight under Patton because Patton did the unexpected, and the enemy couldn't deal with Patton. Where the Bradleys and the Eisenhowers were doing the expected. And they demoted the guy, if he was correctly termed as a guy. They demoted him, and, that's how they look at, so Patton was probably one of them, but he had a brain, They use the, captains, majors, colonels, that have talent and brains to analyze things. And then these SBOT generals look at it and make the command decisions. I seriously doubt you could be a general in the military of America without being an SBOT. I just don't see it. There could be a chance, but it'd be remote. That if you were familiar with something that was extremely technical, and you had to run a lot of technical people, they might promote a non-SBOT to a one-star general, but I really give that a 1 out of 100 chance. I mean, they'd hate to do that. But they do make them majors and colonels, and these are the guys that actually do the work. Like, if you've ever been around major corporation people, like presidents and stuff like that, I ran into the chairman of the board of Coca-Cola once, and the only thing, now he was a reasonably intelligent fellow, this I'll tell you, and he was obsessed with advertising. So, because what is Coca-Cola? It's a water syrup that is not good for you, in my opinion. It's high calorie, high sugar, high this, high that, filled with caffeine, or depending, not caffeinated. And they sell it to people for a lot of money. And people buy it, and they keep buying it. And the way they get people to buy it is getting the name brand recognition out in their faces and their ears all the time with advertising. It's an advertising thing. When this guy came to San Francisco, he came with a bunch of his advisors that were radio, they were advertising specialists. They were probably half his age. And when they got in the car, the first thing they wanted to hear was certain stations listening for commercials. That's all they know, And when this guy flies, they have a thing called Coca-Cola Aviation. Yes, they do. They have their own fleet. Back then it was maybe 4 or 5 jets. And for selling flavored water with carbonation, mind you, they got all these jets, right? And they have their own dispatch building, and they have stewardesses on the jets. And when they fly, what happens is they have a crew of stewardesses that precede them they come. In the case of Coca-Cola, I believe it was the day before. They come a day before, and I think he was staying in the Fairmont Hotel, which is the top hotel. I would think at the top of Nob Hill by the cable cars up there. They would get him a suite. Would probably be about 3,000 square feet. And in the hotel, probably his underlings, if they were with him, which I don't think there were that many at this trip, would also have probably small suites. And these guys lavish themselves. Now you got to remember, somebody becomes a senator, a president, or, you know, they they're in power for a few years normally. These guys go decades with the company normally. So anyway, they lavish themselves. You have no idea. So, well, maybe you do. I don't know. These stewardesses type people. I don't know what you call them. They had women. They have about two or three that come before the day before he comes, and they pay for the suite. And they go in there and they clean the suite. They get, they disinfect everything, right? And they just direct. They might just direct the maids. They may call. If you have a 3,000 square foot suite and you're paying thousands and thousands of dollars a day, and you pick up the phone and say, "Look, I would like you to send a couple of maids up here to clean the suite and disinfect, and I want to observe." They'll say yes. They'll be up in 10 minutes, and they'll send probably 3 girls maids up there to clean the place, and you could give them Lysol or whatever and tell them. So anything the person is likely to touch, they're going to clean with Lysol, right? Light switches, doorknobs, tables, anything, chairs, bed frames. And then, of course, the bathroom gets sterilized pretty much. Then they don't use the linen that comes with the hotel. Then they may use the pillows. I don't know about that, but they don't use the linen. They carry their own linen, their own blankets and their own linen that they put on the bed for the guy, right? And they go out and get food for the guy for the room. Snack food, fruit, cold cuts, I don't know, whatever, beverages, whatever they want, right? And they put flowers in the room, and they air the room out. So the thought here is, if the people that stayed in the suite the day before had the flu or something like that, and you come in and they're sneezing and coughing all over the place, and germs are all, this is what they're trying to accomplish, right? Okay. And some of these guys, they do the suite for 2 days. They'll have the suite with their people in there for 2 days before they come, to make sure that germs are out. They air it out and everything else. It's just these people. But this time, I think it was one. So they go through money like you have no idea. And then they go out to eat, and they go to the restaurants that cost, by today's standard, $300 to $500 a head, plus wine, which could be another $1,000 or $2,000. And some of them smoke $100 cigars, and all this stuff. So they lavish themselves. But this guy had a brain, but most of them don't really have a brain. They're just stuffed shirts. I've been around a lot of them. They just go into meetings and they look good and they take notes and they make stupid comments that have no direct meaning. They don't know what they're doing. They work well with the unclean spirits, and that's why they're there. That's it. And they use the underlings to make the company work, and they get all the credit and the money. So the military runs like that to a great extent. The generals are not the brains, okay? They're bureaucrat commanders, and, some of them actually know how to fight. Most of them don't. The generals try to lavish themselves as well, but you got to understand, it's got limits. Military generals have access to small jets and not so small jets. They could fly around like that, you know. But they don't have an expense account where they're going to go stay in a suite for $6,000 a day. They have a staff that helps them with things and, you know, stuff like that. But they're not anywhere near a corporate mogul in terms of lavish spending and lifestyle and things like that. They're not even close, you know. But they take care of themselves. They pamper themselves, you know. A lot of them get a house on a base that's generals' houses, which are pretty big. They're probably, some of them for, you know, a multi-star general might be 5,000 square feet or something, you know. So the guy can entertain. They have servants, they have secretaries, they have staff, you know. A lot of them have a colonel, a full bird colonel that runs around as, what do they call him, an adjunct or something, kind of assistant. Because they want a heavy officer, so if they send them to do something, nobody gives them, you know, a bad time. So a full bird colonel, the only body that could really dress him down seriously would be a general, you know. So anyway, let's talk about North Carolina. So these storms come in. Now I'm going to tell you something. Some of you are going to understand it, and many of you may not understand it. The elite that run the countries, the real wealth, they understand that there is a God, there is a Messiah, there are angels, and they understand they're at a war with God. They know this stuff, okay? The high-ranking ones that wear the clothes they shouldn't be wearing. Now, they understand that they don't control the weather. Man does not control the weather. HAARP and all this stuff is a farce. They don't control the weather. If they controlled the weather, they would destroy countries with the weather. They would just send, you know, 75 days of rain to Russia. Goodbye, Russia. You know, they don't have control of the weather. That's only God has that. And they know that. So they know the storm was no accident. And this is, like I say, it's not, everybody's not going to grasp this. They say to them, they say, okay, God wants to destroy us with a hurricane here in North Carolina. Fine, let him. He did it. Let him save the people. We're not going to save the people. They're trying to teach God a lesson. No, we're not going to rescue him. You brought the hurricane, you rescue him, or else they'll die. They think that's how they could stop God from punishing them this way. They don't understand how powerful God is. And they don't understand how selective he can be as to who gets hurt and who doesn't get hurt. That's why you see the same thing with Katrina, with all the hurricanes and tornado disasters. And that's why you see the people living in tents at the side of the road for months and years after, because they refuse to help them. They want God to suffer. That's how dumb they are. Okay? Now, people were getting very irate in North Carolina after about 6 days, so they changed their tune a little bit. But the FEMA people were interfering with private charitable organizations offering, you know, relief and support and goods that are needed by the people. And FEMA was stopping them, and the sheriff said if FEMA does this, they're going to arrest FEMA. Now, would the sheriffs actually arrest FEMA? Probably. But what would happen is they'd get a phone call from some federal agency, which may not be the FBI, or maybe their state governor or somebody would call them and say, hey, you better not do this. I got a warning, I'm telling you. Cut it out, you're going to be sorry, you know. And then they would be released. If the sheriff didn't play ball, the judge would play ball, and the judge would spring them. So that would go nowhere, okay? The chances of a revolution in the United States springing up from a problem in North Carolina is zero. Okay. It's just too isolated. It's not going to get anybody that psyched up, okay? The first question you need to ask yourself is, why don't they use the FEMA camps? I have never seen them put disaster victims in the FEMA camp. Look, in bad weather, it's rainy, it's damp, it's wet, it's cold, windy, and people are living in tents. They would much rather go into a FEMA camp where they got hot showers, they got heat, they got air conditioning, they got kitchens, you know, they can get food, they can get medical treatment, communications. And then, you know, once things stabilize, they could leave. They don't ever do it. Those FEMA camps are for something else. They're not for disaster victims, or they would have used them. They never use them. Ever. Ever, ever. And they're real, they're there. So their position is, if God wants to put storms on America, and that's the best he could do, fine. Let the people suffer. That way we'll teach God not to put storms on America. That's what the spirituality behind this is. Okay. Through spiritual warfare, FEMA, the White House, the Congress, the Pentagon, all the intelligence agencies, NSA, CIA, all the law enforcement agencies. You saw the mistake Iran made. Don't make mistakes. You saw the mistake Nasrallah made when we did spiritual warfare. Don't make mistakes. That's what happens. You got to give them the whole enchilada. You got to give them the tossed salad plus the whole enchilada. Okay, cut them off from the communication so they got nowhere to go, and they get confused and they don't know what to do, and they get scared, and then they push forward and they make mistakes. That's what happens. Okay? So there's going to be an attack on Iran. The Israeli Security Council approved the attack plans, which are not being released to anybody in Israel, but America knows about them. So they don't tell the Israeli public, they tell the Americans. And will the Americans tell Iran? I don't know. I don't think so. There was some hoopla in the news that made very little sense, but 4 Israeli F-35s were spotted in the Persian Gulf. Russia picked them up and told Iran. But that was no big attack or anything like that. They were probably on a reconnaissance mission, and they were concerned that in the remote chance Iran launches the junkie fighter jets they have, they wanted to have more than 2 so they can engage Iran successfully. And that was it. If there's going to be an attack by aircraft on Iran, you would be seeing refueling tankers, which are very slightly stealthy at best. They're not stealthy. And they would have F-35s or F-16s or 15s or whatever protecting them, probably F-35s. They'd have to have that. In case somebody decides to send fighter jets like Iran and take down the tankers, which can't really defend themselves, then the mission would be messed up because they couldn't get fuel to get home. So when they told Biden that if Israel attacks us, we're going to take out the oil refineries and the ports and the piers in the Middle East, that put a chill through Biden's bones because he knew how uncontrollably psychotic Iran is. Iran was telling Biden, look, we got 300,000 missiles and we run the Middle East. Get out of here. Don't tell us what to do. We do what we want. Or you pay a price. And that is exactly why they got to get rid of Iran. Or Iran will threaten all these countries in the Middle East to reduce production, raise prices, not sell oil in dollars and euros, and cause all kinds of economic problems for America, NATO, and Europe. But this is not about to happen, okay, if they could help it. If Israel hits the nuclear facilities, first of all, they don't have planes that can carry enough big bunker buster bombs. We don't have those kind of aircraft. We don't have B-2 bombers. So, I think it would be futile. We would cause disruptions and damage, that's about it. And while we're attacking the nuclear facilities, then Iran would be launching missiles on us, so the whole thing is a dumb idea. The same thing for attacking the ports and the piers. It's a dumb idea. Because it doesn't deactivate Iran, and Iran would just launch lots of missiles at us while we were taking out their oil and gas industry. When you're dealing with psychotic serial killers in a death cult, you can't scare them. They don't scare. The only thing they understand is a shot in the head with a lead pipe. They understand that. That's it. They only stop fighting under two conditions. They have no more weapons or capability to fight, or they're dead. Now, the colonels and the majors that have been in the military in America for 25, 30 years are aware of this, but I don't think Biden's cabinet really understands it. Austin, the Secretary of Defense, doesn't impress me as being anything approaching a smart guy. Blinken thinks he's smarter than he is. He's not that smart. Sullivan might be smarter than all of them, but he's still stupid, you know. So, the only thing that really makes a lot of sense is to go in and attack their missile launch sites, but the problem is there's hundreds of those. So we just hit the big ones, this type of thing. Then comes how many jets does it take for Israel to strike quickly all these missile launch facilities? And if they need America's help, you probably need to go in with 200 planes, and that would probably mean 15, 20 refueling tankers. You know, I don't know what Israel's going to do, but it's not going to be what you think it is. It's going to be definitely an unconventional approach to the problem. Now, they could try to take out the government infrastructure of Iran or the military, but they're in underground bunkers. The chances of that being successful are dismal. Can they blow up their communication devices? Maybe. I would think by now Iran made countermeasures, but maybe. Could they take out Iran's fleet of boats? Yes, easily. But then they keep launching missiles. The only thing that makes sense, if we're going to consider only conventional warfare tactics, is to take out their missile launch sites and their radar. Now, guided missiles to find their target, to go from Iran to Israel, you don't just sit there and say, I need to go half a degree this way, 1.2 inches up. It's a little more complicated than that. These missiles are run by radar, optical, or laser. I'm assuming that Iran's running them with radar. And the missile itself doesn't have radar. In other words, it doesn't emit a radar signal and get a bounce back. They need a big radar station sending signals out on the path the missile is taking. And the missile itself has a receiver that gets the bounce off the radar and can adjust its course. But can their missiles really do this? I don't know. They have about a half-mile accuracy, so probably. Otherwise, when they launched them, they would miss by, 25 miles. But, they launched 400 and 190 made it. 210 didn't make it. So maybe they don't even have that. I don't know. The 210 didn't make it were a lot of shoot-downs, knockdowns from Jordan, other countries, and the American military. So, but there was also a lot of malfunctioning, and the missiles just landed themselves because they were no good. So if they're missiles that could actually work its way to the base hundreds of miles away, or using a radar, then all Israel really has to do is take out much of Iran's radar installations. And that's the end of that. Then their guided missiles aren't so guided. Now, mind you, Israel can also launch Jericho 3 missiles on strategic sites like radar, missile launch sites. We could also launch drones. We could also have planes in the air shooting missiles, rockets, and we could also bomb. We also have Navy ships that could shoot missiles, but I don't think we're going to move any over there. Now, Israel could do other things that we could dream about that are not normal conventional tactics, and I don't know what those are. We'd have to see. I don't know. It's possible. I mean, look at the walkie-talkies and the pagers. That's not in the playbook at the Kremlin or the Pentagon. Maybe now it is, but it wasn't when we did it. So I don't know. I don't think they're going to do anything till the Truman aircraft carrier gets in position, which is more than likely going to be in the Mediterranean near Israel and Lebanon. Um, Maybe I'm wrong. They may not assess the need there. They may put it near the Abraham Lincoln in the Sea of Oman near the Persian Gulf. There's probably a 50% chance to do that also. If you close the Persian Gulf to their oil traffic in and out, you accomplish the same thing temporarily as you do by blowing up their oil and gas industry, because they can't sell anything. Then they would try to attack the American ships. I think what Israel and America are waiting for is Iran to attack the bases that America has. Kuwait, Saudi, and I think the UAE telling Iran they're going to remain neutral and America cannot attack you using our real estate. That's nonsense, because all these countries have large American bases in them with American troops. So Iran's not going to believe that unless they kick the American forces out of their country, which is not being done. So the fact that they said, oh, we're going to remain neutral, goes in one ear and out the other with Iran, I don't mean anything. So is it possible that Netanyahu will do some type of an attack that will hurt Iran, but also Iran will launch, 1,000 missiles at us and bust up Israel? Yeah. He's capable of doing something like that. I don't know if he will. Do I think he will? No. I don't think he will do that. You see, the Muslim terrorist states run around bragging, oh, we got this, we got that, And most of it is lies. And the leaders start to buy it themselves. They start to look how tough we are, And America's been reinforcing that for a year without doing any attack on Iran of any substance. But they are starting to hurt Yemen. They know by now that to really stop Yemen, you have to go in on the ground, and that's probably looking at, at least 100, 200,000 soldiers, 100 aircraft, 10, 12 Navy vessels. Big thing. Take a long time. Why? Just shut Iran down. Why fight in Yemen, and then when you finish, you got to still go fight in Iran? Just fight with Iran first. And then the money dries up. So the bottom line is, if you take out the Iranian missiles first, then you could hit their oil and gas industry, then you could hit their nuclear facilities, you could hit their command and control centers, their intelligence, their communications, everything, their weapons warehouses, but you got to start with the missiles. So whatever Israel does to them, no matter what, it's going to run a serious risk of Iran launching a large barrage of missiles at Israel, many hundreds. So Israel might be able to come up with something that's so heavy duty, it scares Iran. Hard to accomplish. But you see, Iran will think, well, they hit us really hard. We lost 17,000 people and blah, 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 blah. But if we don't respond with a counterattack, they'll keep attacking us, so they'll counterattack. So it's inevitable it's going to go to war. Okay? It's really inevitable. I don't think I mean, it could happen and it doesn't, but it looks like it's all on. And America's all in. The Muslim media last night was saying the attack on Yemen was the UK, America, and Israel. But we here in Israel have not heard a single thing to make us believe that we were in the attack last night or yesterday on Sana'a, Yemen, the capital. We have nothing. Does that mean that we didn't do it? No, it does not. But it means we probably didn't do it. Our style of attacking is completely different. I don't believe we did it. I don't believe we participated. Hamas is still relatively ineffective, and we're fighting in Lebanon harder and harder 24/7, round the clock. Round the clock. We killed the big Hamas commander that was in Lebanon. I don't know what the heck he was doing there. He got killed. We killed Nasrallah. The guy who took over from Nasrallah was in office a few hours and he got killed. And we think we killed the guy yesterday, I believe, that would be the next in line. We killed him preemptively before he could be sworn in. So it's getting, it's sort of a mockery. A million people have left Lebanon. Iran is bringing weapons to Iraq and Syria and then taking them up to the border between Lebanon and Syria, the northeast of Syria. And Israel is constantly blowing up the roads, tunnels, bridges, anything they could blow up to make traversing the land not likely. So we just got to wait and see what Israel does. Like I said, I don't think anything's going to happen till the aircraft carrier Truman Group is in theater, which could be today, tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't think it could ever go past Tuesday or Wednesday, but you never know. Okay. And then that doesn't mean the day it gets here, it's going to start. It may take a couple of days. And we just basically got to wait and watch. So I will keep you posted as soon as it hits the fan. I have no idea when that is. I don't think it's far away. And Israel's getting psychological value out of it. The Iranians are going nuts. They're all panicking and loading their cars up with gasoline because they think there'll be a gas shortage. They're in not good shape. That's the best I can tell you right now. It appears whatever Israel cooked up, America went along with it. And it appears to me that just about anything Israel does to Iran is going to cause a retaliation, Or if Israel flew planes overhead and dropped leaflets that says, "We hate Khomeini," they wouldn't attack. But anything more than that, they probably would. So, like I'm calling this the lull before the storm. Okay? It's just the beginning. It's gonna start. And, we're going to have to see if China and Russia are going to sit still while Iran gets decimated, or they're going to try to help her. And if so, how? Biden seems to enjoy Israel getting missile attacked by his actions, so he may try to drag that out. Okay, let me go see what we got cooking in the live stream here. Proxy war it's been around for a while, you know. I don't know what supreme canon is. It's not a Bible term. No, we're good in the live stream. So let's go into some Bible prophecies while we have this lull in the storm. I have some new insights. But we got a couple of some prayer requests we need to cover. The first one has an excess amount of initials, so here we go. 4 of them. S, and then you might say space, AVS. So it's S, and then a space, Alpha Victor Sierra. So it's Sierra, then make a space in your mind. Alpha Victoria Sierra, toss. That's a toss request. There's a dog named Trigger. Like, pull the trigger. Trigger. Not feeling good. Not a well dog right now. But pray for healing for Trigger. Healing for the dog Trigger. Okay? We have a prayer request for JG, Jack Girl. JG, Jack Girl, JG. Prayer request for JG to get good work and help with finances. JG. Prayer is for good work and help with finances. And then we have a prayer request for AM, Alpha AM. That's a toss request, endless salad, whole enchilada for AM. Okay? And that's what I got on prayer and toss requests today. Okay, so let's go into, start with Psalm 91, which isn't that prophetic really, but we'll start there. Psalm 91. I will say of Jehovah, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in him will I trust. Now this is contrary, basically, to prepping and survivalists. Sure, I'm not saying that there's something wrong with keeping extra food and water around the place, but they take it to extremes. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. Okay. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. See, like a mother chick covers the babies with her wings, and that's the analogy here. He protects you. Now, when he says he'll deliver you from the wrath to come, the church turns around and tells you, well, he's going to turn you into a god because flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom of God. So he turns you into a spiritual god, takes you up to heaven for a number of years, and then sends you back down to Jerusalem. There's nothing like that in the scripture. But that's what probably at least 1 billion people believe. Cover you with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and thy buckler. A buckler is a small shield. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. A missile's just a form of an arrow, isn't it? Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand. But it shall not come nigh thee. Okay? I don't go in the bomb shelter. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made Jehovah refuge, my refuge, even the Most High thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Now, the word for plague is 5061, negah. Whoops, I lost it. Let me get the Strong's, how he puts it in English for you. Stroke, a wound, infliction. Okay, so it's war stuff. So it's saying there shall no evil befall thee. What's the word for evil here? Never trust the English. Ra'ah, and see how Strong throws it into English. No, nothing bad, a calamity, distress, evil. Evil's not so bad. Before thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Any bad thing come near thy dwelling, including missiles and drones, right? Or am I wrong? I'm right. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall hear thee up in their they shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against the stone, the angels. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder, the young lion and the dragon shall thou trample underfoot. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life, that's everlasting life, I will satisfy him and show him my Yesha, my salvation. Well, it doesn't say Yesha here, it says, show him my Yeshua. Well, when the two of them come down and appear in the clouds, Yeshua is on the right hand of God the Father. So God is essentially showing us his Yeshua, his Messiah, his salvation. Of course, this is foreign to the people that rely on the church to give them their Bible information. Okay, Isaiah 34. Now we're going to get into it, okay? Isaiah 34. Well, it's important to also build you up to. Verse 1. Come near, you heathen nations, to hear. See, it says nations, but it really means goyim, the heathen nations is what it is. To hear and hearken, you people of the earth, of the land, come in the earth. Hear and all that is therein, the world, hear and all that is there in the world, and it means the world, and all things that come forth of it, for the indignation of Jehovah, that's the anger, okay, we could just say the anger, is upon all heathen nations. I've been telling you this. And his fury upon all their armies, and he hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. And all the armies are wiped out. Now, I don't know if the Israeli army is going to be completely wiped out, because he's going to be killing a lot of Israelis. I doubt that would happen. Verse 3, their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. And all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved. Now, let's get into this. The host is like an army, okay, of heaven. Let's check that word. It's okay. See, this, I was getting this wrong. It's the word is Shemaim, and that means the first heaven. In other words, where the birds and the airplanes fly. Okay? Not the second heaven or the third heaven where Father God Jehovah is. This is the first one. And that's where the powers of the air are. the unclean spirits. They fly like that. That's where they are. And that's what he's talking about. And all the host of the Shemaim shall be dissolved. Let's take a look at what that means. Makak. Vanish, consume away, and so forth. Now, and the heavens, the Shemaim, shall be rolled together. Let's look at that. Galal, it's got the concept of like a tire around thing. Gosh, this thing doesn't cooperate. I want to see how Strong's puts this in English. Literally, it means roll. Figuratively, commit, remove, roll. Okay, let's keep reading. Roll a scroll, and all their hosts, their army, shall fall down as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as the falling fig from the fig tree. Now, I don't believe that here we're speaking of these stars falling down. Stop it, Chief, you move! Shall be dissolved in the heavens. It could be talking about that in the close of Ezekiel 38-39, but this chapter is not about that, as you'll see. So, and it also tells us in Zechariah 13 that he runs the unclean spirits out of Israel after Gog and Magog. He doesn't tell us where they are. Let's keep going. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, and upon the people, that would be in Jordan, I think, and upon the people of my curse to judgment. Now, sword bathed in heaven, I don't know how to really deal with that. It could be that he's going to go after the unclean spirits. I'm not going to really, I don't know how to completely fit that in. This correctly, I'm not sure. It could just mean that his sword is where he is in heaven, and it's why it's bathed with blood. I don't know. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness. That's kind of giving me that theory, yeah. And with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams, for Jehovah hath a sacrifice in Bozrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And I believe we're talking Jordan here. And the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance. You see? So we're not talking about Gog and Magog. We're talking about now. It says, the day of the Lord's vengeance and the year of recompenses for the controversy over Zion. So that's doesn't lend itself now to Ezekiel 38, 39. Okay? You got to put that in. Because when it says, for it is the day, it's a today thing, and now this time, not down the road. And the streams thereof shall be turned to pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof become burning pitch. It shall not be. You see, now people are saying, well, what, this is happening to Israel? Well, it's probably happening to Edomia, the people of his curse. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall be lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever. Now it's going to describe things that sound just like the daughter of Babylon, but it's likely talking about, Jordan. And it could also be Yemen too, Edom. But doesn't mention it here. But the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it, the owl also and the raven shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. They shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there. And all her princes shall be nothing. And thorns shall come up in her palaces, nettles and brambles in the fortress thereof, and it shall be a habitation of dragons and a court for owls. It's very much like what happens to the United States, but we don't read of a great flood coming over it. And we don't read of it being destroyed by fires, so it's probably not talking about the United States. The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellows, the screeching owl also shall rest there, and find for herself a place of rest in their houses. There shall the great owl make her nest, and lay and hatch, and gather under her shadow thereof shall the vulture also be gathered, every one with her mate. Seek you out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them. Now, it's a good time to remind you that all the apostles and Yeshua preached just with the Old Testament. They had no New Testament. But I'm not saying we don't read the New Testament and we don't use it, because for sure we do. But the problem is most of the people have been led astray by the churches and they dwell in the New Testament. And that's not good. And because the prophets are in the Old Testament. They, except for Revelation, there's not really any prophecy. And he hath cast the lot for them, and his hand hath divided it unto them by line. They shall possess it forever. From generation to generation shall they dwell therein. Okay. Well, let's keep going. So I got a couple of important things I want to show you. Isaiah 54:17, I think. Isaiah 54:17. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Jehovah, and their righteousness is of me, saith Jehovah. Okay. Let's see, next one. Isaiah 2. This you'll find interesting. Isaiah chapter 2. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. Now that's the land we have now, Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days, okay, we're there now, that the mountain of Jehovah's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all the heathen nations shall flow unto it. So there's going to be Mount Zion again. That was knocked down many centuries ago by some army. It's going to come back. God's going to bring it back when he brings the next temple down, which is not New Jerusalem. And New Jerusalem has no temple in it. It says it in Revelation 21. And verse 2, Isaiah 2, verse 3. Many people shall go and say, Come you, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of Elohim, of Jacob. So he's saying, to the mountain of Jehovah, to the house of God of Jacob. Jacob means the 12 tribes. And he will teach us of his ways. And Elijah might have something to do with that. And we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, the Torah, and the word of Jehovah from Jerusalem. Now, what the church has brainwashed the people into believing is the word of the Lord goes forth from the heathen nations. And that is not the case. They have another gospel. And he shall judge among the nations, the heathen nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall, now pay attention, they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Now, it doesn't say they're not going to make war anymore. It consistently says they will not learn war anymore. They're not going to have war colleges. They're not going to have standing armies with military training camps and all of that, okay? I'm going to try to put this together for you with some sequencing. I'll try. O house of Jacob, come you, and let us walk in the light of Jehovah. Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Oh, I'm sure that goes on. Their land also is full of silver and gold. Their land also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there an end of any of their chariots. Now, chariots is something drawn by a horse, you know. It doesn't have to be a war wagon, you know. You could use a buckboard. It could be something you ride in, like a stagecoach. Would be called a chariot. It just happens to have sides and walls and a ceiling, you know. Their land also is full of idols. You move! Their land also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. When I stretch my feet out and I get near Chief, he growls at me. He's dominating that space under the desk. Their land also is full of idols. Yes, Israel's that way now. They worship the work of their hands, that which their own fingers have made. And the mean man boweth down, and the great man humbleth himself, therefore forgive them not. Enter into the rock, and hide thee in the dust, for fear of Jehovah, and for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down. And the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. So you're going to see, in my opinion, an end of Buddha and the Hindu thing and the Muhammad stuff, all of that. For the day of Jehovah of armies, the church world will be gone too. That's going to come to an end. For the day of Jehovah of armies shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. The rich, and upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan. And upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures, and the loftiness of men shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and Jehovah alone shall be exalted in that day. And that means all these religions, these non-biblical religions, even though they use the Bible, are not going to be around, like Mormons, JWs, Christian Scientists, Catholics, all that. Churchianity. The Messianics do the same thing. And the idols he shall utterly abolish, and they shall all go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth, for fear of Jehovah and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake horribly the earth, when he ariseth. So I believe the day of vengeance is triggered when the appearing of the Son and the Son of Man, seated on the right hand of power, appears in the sky. That's not the return to earth. Okay? In that day, remember that's sounding like Zechariah 12, that day. In that day, a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself, to worship to the moles and to the bats. They throw the idols over there, I guess. To go into the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks, for fear of Jehovah and for the glory of his majesty. When he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. Okay? Cease you from man, whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of? Okay. So, when you read Zechariah 12, they're coming on horses and stuff like that. They don't have any modern weapons. There's no planes in the sky. We don't read of Navy ships. We don't read of tanks, mobile artillery, mortars, missile launchings, guns. It's gone. So he destroys the army. So what you're going to see with all these wars is they're going to just kill each other. They're not going to emerge victory. There's not going to be victorious ones. In the long run, they're just going to be nothings. Okay. Micah 4. We're going to hit it from another angle. Micah 4. And many, 4 verse 1. But in the last days now, it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Jehovah shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills. And when it says top of the mountains, I think what it's trying to say in lousy English is it'll be the highest mountain, and shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow onto it. It's very much what we just previously read, just about the same. And many heathen nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to and many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of Jehovah and to the house of God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the Lord shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So Jeremiah 30:11, all the nations he scattered the Israelites into are going to be destroyed. Their armies are going to be destroyed, gone. That's about 125 nations. And then the 2 witnesses burn up what could be millions of people surrounding Israel in the siege of Zechariah 12. And they're all burned up and gone. Well, that woke the world up. There is no God but Jehovah. There is no Messiah but Yeshua, and they're going to serve him. That's how they're going to start out. There will be a great falling away 60-something years from then. But that's how it's going to start. And he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong heathen nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Well, they come after Israel and Gog and Magog, we know that. But they don't learn war anymore. They don't go to the war colleges and study it, okay? But they shall sit every man under his vine, under his fig tree. This is in Israel. And none shall make them afraid. For the mouth of Jehovah of armies hath spoken it. Most of you don't have a fig tree or a vine or anything. You're in mobile homes, apartments, trailers, whatever, right? But you'll have land for free. No mortgage, no payments, no taxes on it. Free. Okay? You're not going to have property taxes. Okay? And none shall make them afraid. Well, yeah. They learned their lesson. For all people will walk, everyone in the name of his God. And we will walk in the name of Jehovah Elohim forever and ever. So until the end of the world, there's always going to be goofballs trying to serve a false god. You know, I mean, Satan rallies them up, and they surround Jerusalem and New Jerusalem, and you know, just before the end of everything, right? In that day, saith the Lord, will I assemble her. That day is Zechariah 12. Assemble her that halteth. That's the feeble that fight like David in Zechariah 12. That's the halteth is, you know, they don't walk right, that kind of thing. And I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted. Okay? Because he's punished the Israelites. I will make her that halted a remnant, and her that was cast far off a strong nation. And Jehovah shall reign over them in Mount Zion from henceforth. Shall reign over them in Mount Zion. That's the temple. From henceforth, even forever. And thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion, the kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. That's us. Now, why dost thou cry aloud? I guess we would say out loud. Cry out aloud. Is there no king in thee? Is thy counselor perished? For pangs have taken thee as a woman in travail. That's Jeremiah 30. The birth pangs, the travail, the getting ready to give birth, the water broke, cervix is dilated, baby is crowning, nation born in a day. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion. That's Jeremiah 30. Like a woman in travail. For now shalt thou go forth out of the city, and thou shalt dwell in the field, and thou shalt go even to Babylon. This is in the past. For now. He was, telling them, well, this is going to happen now, but in the future, this is what's going to happen. Okay. So they go to Babylon. Thou shalt dwell in the field, and thou shalt go even to Babylon. There shalt thou be delivered. There Jehovah shall redeem thee from the hand of thy enemies. And they were delivered. Now also many heathens are gathered against thee, that say, let her be defiled, and let her eye look upon Zion. But that's not, Babylon was just one country. Now we got the whole world against us, as you know. But they know not the thoughts of Jehovah, neither understand they his counsel. For he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor, and rise and thresh, O daughter of Zion. For I will make thy horn iron. Now the horn is what the animals fight with, okay? Make thy horn iron, and I will make thy hoofs brass. A lot of the animals fight by stomping and kicking with their hoofs. Brass hoofs is like brass knuckles. Got it? And thou shalt beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their gain unto Jehovah, and their substance unto the Lord of the whole earth. Told you we'll be fighting and taking land back. We're going to need it. Joel 3:10. Now I want to help you, because when we get into Gog and Magog, which is the book of Joel, this reverses, and I'll show you, the beating the swords into plowshares and the spears into pruning hooks reverses when you come on to the Gog and Magog scene. And I'll show it to you. Joel 3:10. Should I go to let me see where I should start. We'll go to Joel 3:9. Proclaim you this among the heathen. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come. Beat your plowshares into swords. So obviously they didn't have an army, because the army would have swords. And your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. This is the delusions, like Iran's under, like Hezbollah, Hamas, so forth, Yemen. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, Goyim, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Okay, so this is the reversal of that. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Okay, that's down the road, 60-something years. Hosea 2:14. Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. This is Ezekiel 20, starting in verse 33, when the next great Exodus starts and the lost tribes and probably the true believers gather together. They leave the countries they're in and they go to the wilderness, where they pass under the rod and enter the bond of the covenant. Okay? So, and in the wilderness, I would guess it's definitely not 40 years, maybe 40 days or something like that. And speak, it could be 40 weeks, I don't know, but it's not anything that huge, believe me. I don't think it's 40 weeks, And speak comfortably unto her. And I will give her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Acre for a door of hope. And she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. They were happy, they'll be singing. People will be singing when they come back to Israel. And it shall be and it shall be at that day, saith Jehovah, that thou shalt call me Ishi, and shall call me no more Baal. Okay, so Ishi is, what's the right English? Let's see how Strong's picks the right English, like a man or... like a man. And shall call me no more Baal, my Lord. So they're going to refer to him in a more familiar way because everybody's going to be so much closer to Jehovah. Sons of God, remember. When you grow up with your father, you generally don't call him my Lord. I mean, you could if you're a prince and your father's a king and you're in open court or something, but you get the idea here. For I will take away the names of Baalim, the demon idols, out of their mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground, and I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down in safety. Now this is going to be great. This is going to make a covenant with the animals. And I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness, and in judgment, and in loving kindness, and in mercies. I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know Jehovah. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, saith Jehovah, I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth. And the earth shall hear the corn, and the wine, and the oil, olive oil, and they shall hear Jezreel. And I will sow her unto me in earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. That's Israel. It returns to Jerusalem with mercies. That's when we get the tabernacle. And I will say to them which were not my people, thou art my people, and they shall say, thou art Elohim, my God. So that's where we're headed. How long is it going to take for all the nations to knock each other's lights out? I don't know. Probably take a while. So we're, you could see it coming. We're soon going to go into what they call World War. It's going to be pretty big. Let's see what's in the chat if I need to do anything. Nice hat. I don't have a hat. If I'm wearing a hat, it's escaping me. So I don't know I'm wearing a hat. Somebody gave me a tip to go look at a microphone. I will. I just get a little leery, I don't want to bury myself with high-tech stuff because I got to concentrate on the Bible and the current events and tying them together. So if I can get something that's, plug and play to help with the microphone, I could see that. But if it's going to be confusing and I got to keep checking settings and then I don't know if the microphone's on or not, I can't go that route. It has to be brain simple, So I can't get distracted with technology. I got to stay focused. What I do is pretty hard. I get up early in the morning, usually about 5, and then I do the broadcast, and then I'm pretty much finished. And the Lord rarely ever gives me another Bible thing to cover later in the day. Rarely. It's my rest after that, because knocks you out like from here to here. Your legs and your arms don't get tired. You get tired from here to here because you're working your brain, you know. Now I've been doing a lot with those red lights and near infrared, and it's I notice a difference in a lot of ways. I don't have to stop and think, well, what's that scripture? What's that name? And you know, 95% of the time I would have that kind of thing. It's gone. I don't get it anymore. So that really worked. It's pretty good stuff, you know. So they don't know exactly how it works on the brain yet. There's studies where the industry is full of charlatans. So there's these guys selling these red light helmets of various sorts, and they put very weak LED red lights in there. LEDs is the way you want to go, but these are weak ones. Why? Because if they were powerful, they would create a lot of heat, and your head would swell. You'd probably get a headache. I don't know. Well, it wouldn't be good. It would interfere with the red light. It would cause a lot of melanin to go to the area, a lot of water to build up, a lot of blood pumping through there to cool you off. It's not good. So they use very weak LEDs, and they put it in the brain. Now, your hair is an excellent reflector of light. Well, think, you go out in the sun, where's the sun beating down? Here. So you're reflecting a lot of the light off, a lot of the sun off you with your hair. So how do they get it through the hair, then the layers of skin, then the skull, and get it into the brain with weak LED lights? And they sell gullible people these things for anywhere from $1,500 to $5,500. So some medical doctor researcher did a test, and he put the red lights. We're using, in this case, near infrared. They're kind of synonymous. It's called photobiomodulation. So he put the light instead of anywhere on the brain, he put it on the hand, and it worked. They were using it on people that are suffering from brain maladies. They have Parkinson's, they have Alzheimer's, they have dementia, they have anxiety reactions. They forget things, dementia, things like that, and they put it on them from the hand, and they have ways they can test them, and they tested them, with giving them. They have like questionnaire things they ask them, and tasks they give them to do, and then they also do brain scans. So they get pretty into it, and they found that there was no difference in the improvement from using the light on the hand and using it on the head. So then they came out and they said, well, we must be hitting the acupuncture points of the hand because they're all over the place for the brain. Oh. So let's find out. So they went on the arm over here, I think, in this area, where there are no acupuncture points, let alone for the brain. I don't think there really are any there, or any to speak of. So they put the light there, and guess what? It worked on the brain just like it did on the hair, or just like it did on the head, and they were putting it on the arm. So these companies are out selling these people these red light helmets for $1,500 to $5,500, and they could buy a device for $200, $300, $400 and get the same type of results. Now, the biggest, I think, most intelligent guy. Some of you expressed an interest in red lights, so I'll spend a few minutes on it. Some of these people, that like Hamlin is the guy's name, Mike Hamlin, I think. He's a British guy. He recently retired from Harvard as a full professor. He's a well-published author on photobiomodulation for many years. I would say he's publishing for 25 years. This goes back a long time. They were doing photobiomodulation 100 years ago. Back then they were doing rife machines, frequencies. They were doing electricity type things with people. They had a lot of good healing modalities back then that got suppressed over time. But he's a pretty well informed guy, and he did a very recent interview, I'd say within 60, 90 days. And he said that when he was asked, "What do you do?" He says he has a helmet. He wouldn't tell us if he made it himself or got it from somebody. He wouldn't say that he uses like on a daily basis. And he says he has spot device that you use, like if your shoulder hurts, put it on your shoulder. If your knee hurts, you put it on your knee. There's several devices around like that. But why? I mean, this guy is a big advocate of having the red light source make direct contact with the skin. The problem is that if it doesn't, it reflects off the skin. So these people buy red light panels. Typically, they're 36 inches by between 9 and 12 inches, and they stand in front of it. Well, what happens is 75 or more percent of that light misses their body. It goes up, it goes down, it goes left, it goes right, between their legs, between their body and their arm, over their shoulders, whatever, right? And a lot of what hits the body gets reflected off. So you get maybe 15%, maybe 25%. That's about it. So what the elite athletes do, and the wealthier people that are smart about this, is they buy 4 to 6 of these panels, the big ones. So they'll spend anywhere from, I would guess, $7,500 to $12,000, which is a fortune, and they mount them on the wall, and they turn them all on at the same time, and they stand in front of them. So they lose 75% of it, but because they got 4 or 6 of those panels, what they don't lose is still a lot, and it gets in and gets the job done. So these people that advocate the panels don't tell you that they themselves in their life buy like 4 panels and put them together, or 6 or 8. Some of these guys sell setups for up to $125,000. Pods, they call them. You lay down in a pod, a plastic pod with tons of red lights, and you close the cover on you, and you're sitting there, and you can just about blast your body big time in 10 minutes with that stuff. And that's what you're a football, basketball player, baseball player, you make $7 million a year or something like that. What do you care? Or you go to the club where they do the jacuzzis and the massage after practice, and they have those there, and you just jump in it for 10 minutes. It fixes your muscles, your joints, stuff like that, right? But a lot of the guys for their houses, they buy multiple panels and put them together. So now they started selling panels that are, I think they're as much as 19 inches across or something like that. And they go up about, I think, more than 5 feet high. So this is a new twist to it. Now you're getting a lot of red light out of one panel, but you're still going to have a lot of missing. But they're making it better. But those things are, they're, like, I don't know, whether they're $5,000 or something like that. There's still a lot of money. But you could get a really, really nice panel for $200 to $400. And it's small. It's going to be 12 by 9. And what you do is you just put it on your body. You put it on your knee, you put it on your foot, you put it on your chest, you put it on your stomach, you put it on your shoulder, your neck, your forehead, whatever. And when it starts getting hot, you move it to another part of your body and you put it there. And then you move it back and you bob and weave and go back and forth. And then you get yourself a $15 or $25 fan, a strong one, on a stand. And if you're doing this on a chair or a sofa or your bed, you put the fan maybe a foot away from you and turn it on high. Light it up like a jet engine exhaust if you can. and put it real close, and it keeps the thing cool for quite a while. I bought a killer fan, and um, I mean, this fan, you could, I mean, it's so powerful. If you put it in a sailboat and turned it against the sail, you'd be able to sail with this thing. I mean, it was so strong. All metal, big thing. And when we're running the air conditioners in the house, if I plug it in, it blows a circuit breaker. So we donated it to the birds in the hot weather for their aviary. But then when it cools off and we don't run the air conditioner, I'm going to bring it back in. When I probably don't need it because the temperature's cool, but it'll keep the thing cooler. So there's a lot of things you could do with this. It gives you, so you really don't have to run it on your head to make your brain better. That's the crazy thing, you know. But if you want to get the red light into your organs, into your body, you need to put it in contact with your skin. You need the right device that has plenty of power, and you put it on contact in your skin. And it actually does take fat off your body. In my book, in my opinion, a lot of people say it does, and my experience is it really does. You know, I used to have problems with my hips and pains, and that went away. We used to get spasms in my feet and my leg, very quick ones, 10 seconds or so, 15 seconds. That's pretty much gone away, 95% anyway. Boy, it makes more melatonin. You sleep like a baby. Gosh, do you sleep? I mean, it just does so many things for you, you know. Lowers blood sugar, increases testosterone, which is probably not a great idea in a woman. It makes your hair grow back when you're an old fart like me and you start getting hair back. Um, it's funny to grow hair here too. People say it's a hair growth thing, but a guy I respect did a test on it for 6 months and it didn't grow any hair for him. He said it was a waste of time. So I don't, you know, worry about getting hair growth. I don't pay attention to that. But it does, I put it on my abdomen a lot because that's recommended, and it does take the fat off your stomach. It's pretty weird. And then you get hungry after you use it. You feel like you worked out. So I know some of you are interested in that. So, you know, if you're interested in this, talk to me before you buy a device, and I'll point you in the right direction. The right direction would be either getting it from AliExpress or Amazon. I get no commission, no nothing out of that. I don't get a dime. You know. Those are the places where you can easily obtain good ones. Now, if you got a lot of money, there's other companies that sell really excellent ones, but they're overpriced. And, you know, there's a lot of ins and outs. You gotta learn about that. I put about 200 hours into it, and it really is. Some of the doctors are calling this the new type of medicine. I mean, because they don't have side effects from this. You know, the worst thing you could do is overdo it, and then it just isn't that effective anymore. You know? There's a guy that is on the internet and YouTube called Alex Fergus. Alex Fergus, Fergus. You do red light, then type Alex Fergus. He's very good. He's very good. He makes commissions on things and gives you discount codes, but in spite of that, he's very good. Okay, do I have any more questions? So I thought, you know, maybe some of you would enjoy that. You know, we're in the lull before the storm here, so, you know. If anybody wants to write me about that, I'll try to help you. Yes, I wear sunglasses because I'm in front of screens a lot and it cuts the UV, it cuts the glare, the blue light, it polarizes. That's why I do it. Okay, so I hope you got something out of this, and you know, remember that the destruction of Elam, Iran, Iraq, and Syria may not, it may happen before Zechariah 12. It looks like it will. It may not, but it may. And Gaza is still, Hamas is still in Gaza. So they could join in the festivities at the barbecue of Zechariah 12, verse 6. And I don't think we're going to go kill every Hezbollah soldier, so they could still join in Zechariah 12:6 for the barbecue. You know, so it doesn't mean that, but then again, on the other hand, Syria, see, if Syria and Iran, Syria and Iraq are in the barbecue of Zechariah 12:6, it doesn't line up with Jeremiah 49 too well, because enemies shall destroy her, and there's only one person fighting in Zechariah 12, and that's Israel against a whole bunch of countries. So it doesn't lend itself too good, But they could still get us on the east from Jordan. They could get us from Egypt. They could get us from Turkey. Plenty of places they could come in. The West Bank, they could come in. They probably will come in the West Bank. So there's not really a problem, but I'm just starting to try to put the pieces together a little bit better, and I'm getting led in this direction. Of course, I could always not have it 100% right now, but it's an interesting concept that I think is likely correct. So I'm Moshe. Please pray for me and my wife. Pray for our peace, safety, protection, and joy and healing of our bodies. And pray for our finances. Appreciate prayer there. And pray for our animals and pets that are all rescues to be happy, healthy, and whole. Pray for better videos, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem. You might want to subscribe, because when the eggs hit the fan, I do a lot of, unannounced live streams, and you'll get noticed. And it'd be nice if you hit the thumbs up button, which takes you 2 seconds, and it's free, and it helps. And how much did I got a little over 2 hours today, not so bad. So I send my Shabbat Shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and